Thanks for joining us again. Another little video about an occurrence that I was faced with recently, just yesterday, 7th of November. Um, Alerted seeing a void situation again. We didn't actually get any alerts, we just saw the aircraft. So let's have a look at the scenario as we're playing it out here. Again, we've got the Air Services web track set to 2 times, centered on Caboolture here. And another airfield of note is Redcliffe, which is down here. So this aircraft here is the aircraft that I was flying in. It's a Cessna 172, and we're performing circuits at Caboolture. And we were only ever flying in the circuit, as you can see by the trace. Now, I'm just going to play the trace here, and we're going to observe there's an aircraft come in. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. Aircraft come in from the northwest up here. It's this aircraft here. It's a Cessna 210, squawking 1200, departed Redcliffe for Redcliffe, and it's coming through the Glasshouse Mountains at 1400. Destination is Redcliffe. So if I just stop it here, and if I draw a line from the aircraft directly to Redcliffe, it would take the aircraft pretty much directly through the circuit, directly overhead Caboolture. Now, we don't know what the mission profile is for this aeroplane, whether it's a charter or just a local scenic or whatever it is, not to worry. But the consideration that this pilot needs to make is, how am I going to traverse through the Caboolture circuit area without becoming a hazard to other users or put themselves in danger? So let's have a look at how we plan out. So again, not knowing what the profile is, the mission profile is, but if they were headed directly for Redcliffe, they could stay above 2000. And the reason why I say 2000 is because there's a lot of traffic comes in from the training area at the north and overflies the airfield at 1500 to descend on the non-active side to join a crosswind for the runway. So overflying the airfield at 1500 does pose a higher risk than normal at other altitudes, because you may have traffic coming in from anywhere over the top of the aerodrome. So let's see what this aircraft does. We'll just press the play, and we'll see that there has been no radio calls heard. Now, we're concentrating in the circuit, and there may have been a radio call. I don't recall one, but there's none that I can recall. So let's have a look at the circuit. The Cessna 172 is landing now and doing a touch and go, and the Cessna 210 is just coming into the 3 mile arc of the circuit area, and its altitude is 1,500 feet. So this altitude would be consistent for an aircraft that's considering an inbound for arrival at Caboolture, not necessarily an overfly, but his intention was to overfly, as we will find out. So if I just, we'll just let that play. Considerations for the Cessna 210 is traffic coming in from the training area at the same altitude, 1,500, into a funnel point or a high density traffic area. Now let's have a look at what's just happened here. The aircraft has made a left turn at 1,550 feet and is now paralleling the opposite direction of the circuit traffic, and the Cessna 172 is climbing to 1,100. So I'm just going to stop the trace here, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more, and we can get a better picture of what's going to occur here. So remembering that we have a altitude tolerance in controlled airspace of plus or minus 100 feet. What's occurring here, and I'm just going to stop the trace right here. We have two aircraft that are head-on the active side of the circuit, one aircraft opposite the circuit direction and one aircraft established in the circuit. Now, the aircraft in the circuit is 1,079 feet, and the aircraft that is the Cessna 210 that's for Redcliffe is now at 1,447. Now, it is at this time where the crew of the 172 identified the 210, and the instructors made a call saying, aircraft are being Caboolture to the north, you're on the active side of the circuit, and we are establishing the circuit, have you got us visual? The reply from the Cessna 210, so we exercised alerted, see and avoid. The Cessna 210 pilot replied, yeah, mate, we're at 1,500. Now, he didn't look 1,500 to me. So I'll just play the trace a little bit more as we get closer. Let's see what our altitude separation is here. So we've gone up 1,119 feet, and they've come down to 1,394 feet. So we're 100 feet high, and he's 100 feet low. That's 300 feet separation. And if I zoom right in now, that's pretty close. Now, I do have a formation endorsement, and I could read the numbers on his aeroplane, but that's too close as far as I'm concerned. So again, the hazards are, it was quite thermally a dynamic and buoyant air mass. So it would be very easy to get a thermal to push up the Cessna 172 or the 210 encounter some sink. So possibly some poor decision making by the Cessna 210 pilot. Now, if we zoom out, and again, the consideration is incoming traffic at the same altitude. If we look at the trace for the 210, he's actually come to the north of the aerodrome inside the circuit area, perhaps to do a nice, now we can fast forward and see what height he goes. So it's just 1,000 feet. There's really, is it really necessary to fly where he was flying? Again, we don't know the mission profile. But the point is that what we should learn from this is if you're going to overfly the aerodrome, stay outside the circuit area. Now, technically, in accordance with AC 9110, the circuit area is 500 feet above the active circuit height. This aircraft, the 210, was not at 1,500 above the circuit height, and we're splitting hairs here, like plus or minus 100 feet. But good airmanship and hazard mitigation would say don't even go down that close, and certainly don't fly opposite the circuit direction. Probably a better decision to make, depending upon, again, what his mission profile was, would have been to stay maybe at 2,000 feet, so you would be above the incoming traffic from the training area, and then you could let down once you've gone over the top of the airfield for your descent into Redcliffe. So another example of an experienced pilot, Cessna 210, like the last video, we had a Jet Ranger helicopter and a Cirrus pilot. These are not learning student pilots or low-time pilots. These are people with significant experience to be flying these machines. So maybe a little bit of normalization of deviance in that, yeah, I've always done it that way. It hasn't been a problem before. Familiarity or comfort with flying that low in the circuit area. But let's just have a think about where we need to be and possible scenarios with regards to conflicting traffic, and let's stay a bit safer out there.